Today what I want to do is I want to show you how to make a soda bread, an Irish soda bread. Now this is a really easy bread, like before with the scones. There's no resting, there's no proving, there's no major kneading. It's a very straightforward bread. Now there's a couple of ingredients that I just want to run through you here with. Now here I have 350 grams of wholemeal flour mixed with 350 grams of strong bread flour plus 2 teaspoons of bicarbonate of soda or baking powder. I have here 650 mils of buttermilk. You can use ordinary milk, full cream milk. Don't use the low fat stuff, but the buttermilk tends to give a richer finish to the bread. I have here a teaspoon and a half of salt, and I have here 100 grams of full fat butter. Right, so the first thing that I want to do is I want to mix in the dry ingredients. So I'm putting the 2 flours that I mentioned to you earlier, the salt. Now don't forget the 2 teaspoons of baking powder are already in here. I just want to give those a little mix around just before I start. Now the next thing that I want to do is get the butter, and I'm just going to cut it like this and then cut it into small cubes, and then I'm going to rub it in. Now you don't have to rub this in by hand. You can obviously do it in a machine if you have a mixing machine, but I just want to show you the technique of rubbing in. You may have seen it in previous videos that I did in regards to short crust pastry, showing you how to do that by hand as well, but the same principles apply. So I just want to mix this in and get it in there. So now that the butter is in, I'll just get rid of this. Now that the butter is in, next thing to do is to literally, what you're doing is you're rubbing like this. You're rubbing the butter between your thumb and your four fingers and rubbing it into the flour. Alright? So what you're doing, you can also do the same thing of course with a fork or whatever, but I find that it's much quicker and it's easier, and once you get used to it, it's no bother at all. So I'm just going to rub this in here. Now an alternate way to do it as well, because obviously if you're not used to it, what's going to happen is that your thumb and your forefingers are going to get sore from that action of the constant rubbing in like that, okay? Another way to do it is just pick it up when you have the butter broken down slightly in the flour. Pick it up and just rub it like that. You're still doing the same thing. You're still rubbing in. But you can see it's slightly easier than using the thumb and forefinger method. So you can see here, I'm still rubbing in. I'm still rubbing the fat into the flour. Okay, so that's ready now, right? So the next thing that I want to do, I want to make a well, and I'm going to pour in our, not all of it, most of our 650 ml of milk. Now I'm going to keep a bit back because obviously I want to test and make sure that the dough is not over wet, that's too wet. So just pull the flour and the dough in from the sides like this. Now you can see how straightforward this is. There's really nothing complicated about it. The only thing about it is it just gets a little bit messy from here on out. Keep it in your mixing bowl and you'll be fine. So this is beginning to come together now. What's happening is you can see that it's clotting and it's sticking into lumps. Now that's still a little dry, so this is the reason why we've kept back the milk. As I said, it's important not to make the dough too wet. The reason being is because it'll be difficult to roll and shape. So again, I haven't used all of the milk, as you can see, but I put enough in that should make the difference now of it being just the right consistency. And what's happening is that you will see as you pull the dough in towards you like this. Don't forget to turn your bowl. Now of course, like I said before, you can do all of this in a machine if you want, but I'm just wanted to show you the way it's traditionally done here in Ireland. Okay, so that dough, as you can see, has become quite into a nice ball shape here. So first thing that I want to do now is I want to put a bit of flour on the board, and then I want to roll the dough out and shape it. So I'll bring it back when I'm doing that. I'm going to use some wholemeal flour to roll this out on the board. And okay, now first thing that we want to do is get a little bit of shape on it. Now what I'm doing is I'm pulling the bread towards me and sort of tucking it under like that with the heel of my hand, turning it and doing the same thing again, turning it. Now these are quarter turns, these aren't half turns. So you can see what I'm doing. I'm pushing the bread in with the heel of my hand here like this, okay? So quarter turn, pull it up towards you, quarter turn, pull it up towards you, push it in with the heel of your hand. So now you've got it there. I'm just going to carry on until I get a nice smooth dough. Now I can already feel it becoming smoother, as I'm sure you can actually see. Now the next, there you go, look at that, nice and smooth, a little bit more. Okay, now the next thing that I want to do is I just want to put a little bit of a shape on it, circular shape. So I'm just rolling the dough here, as you can see. Now there's nothing, this may take you a little bit of practice, but it's not difficult. It's very straightforward. Now, there we go, turn it over, perfectly smooth dough. Okay, so I'm going to press it down with the palm of my hand, like this. And you're looking for about an inch to an inch and a quarter thick. Okay, so you can see now, now you can see here, that's about an inch and a quarter thick, as you can see there. Alright, now the next thing is I'm going to put it on a baking sheet. Now there's three things that you can use in regards to your baking tray and your baking sheet. I'm using a baking mat, a silicone baking mat. You can use grease-proof paper, or you can just get some flour and throw it gently, lightly and loosely onto the baking sheet. I prefer the silicone mat. Now, so transfer this over. Now you can see here, alright, there's the basic dough there, and flip it over here as well. Now, that's that, right? And the last thing that I want to do is to cut across in the center of the bread. So it's very straightforward, watch. One slash that way, one slash that way. That's it, done. Now, this is ready to go into the oven. It's going into the oven at 175 degrees centigrade, fan oven. If you're using an ordinary electric oven or gas oven, you'd want to put it in at around about 180 degrees centigrade, okay? The instructions for this, etc., will be on the recipe on the website. But it's going to go in gas, or should I say fan oven, 175 degrees centigrade, and it's going to go in for about 50 minutes. Now when it's at the 50-minute stage, I'm going to check to make sure that this is still, it's not moist in the center. And how you check for that is you just insert a skewer, or you can get a toothpick, a wooden toothpick, and just insert it. Make sure when you pull it out, it just comes out dry. So that's it, this is going into the oven now. When I'm ready to bring it out of the oven, I'll talk to you then. Now, that's it. Bread is just out of the oven, and you can see that it's risen quite nicely. Now I just want to check it here. Now, the knife should come out clean, which you can see there. Just put this up there. That has come out clean. Alright, there's no moist dough, damp dough sticking to that blade. Okay, so it's come out clean. So, the other test on how you know if the bread is ready is to pick it up and listen to the sound it makes when you tap it on the bottom. It should make a hollow sound. So that bread is ready. So now the next thing, there's one last thing that you need to do. Now the crust on this is quite hard. Now for a softer crust, what you want to do is to wrap the bread in a clean tea towel, clean tea cloth, and let it cool inside the tea cloth. Now why do you do that? Well, the steam obviously still coming out of the bread, and what you're doing is you're allowing the steam to penetrate in back onto the crust on the outside, and what happens there is that it softens the crust. So that's already roasting hot now, but like I said to you, wrap it in a clean tea towel and let it go cold, let it cool down naturally as it would there, and I guarantee you that the crust will be wonderfully soft, well, softer than it currently is now. But that's it. That's the Irish soda bread. You can see that there was nothing difficult in making it. Very straightforward, very easy. Try it